Hello students, welcome to Wonder Biology. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is digestion in human beings. Now as you all have been studying about digestion in your previous classes also, it refers to the complete breakdown of complex food particles into simpler substances by the action of digestive enzymes or digestive juices, right? So first of all we'll deal with the basic or the important terms that relate to this topic. The most important term that we will study today is alimentary canal. Alimentary canal is nothing but it is a long tube extending from the mouth to the anus. When food enters your mouth, then obviously that will require a pathway. It travels from one part to the other, right, to undergo the digestion process. And therefore, the complete pathway of food from the mouth to the anus is called as the alimentary canal. Next important term is esophagus, which you also call it as the food pipe. It is the connection between the mouth and the stomach. When you take food inside your mouth, then it reaches the pharynx and then it enters the tubular structure, that is the pipe-like structure, that is called as the esophagus. From the esophagus, food will enter into the stomach. Now, when the food enters from the pharynx into the esophagus, then the walls of the esophagus or the muscles of the esophagus, they undergo alternate contraction and relaxation. And this alternate contraction and relaxation of the muscles of the esophagus is called as peristalsis. It is required to push the food further down towards the stomach. So here again I have discussed the word peristalsis, that is the alternate contraction and relaxation of the muscles of the esophagus in order to push the food forward. Now, what are digestive enzymes? The biological catalysts. You know what are catalysts? In chemistry, you know that the catalysts are the substances or the important enzymes which what they do? They will accelerate the rate of a reaction. In the same way, during digestion process, there are some biological catalysts which will convert the complex food molecules into the simpler substances. Now, we come to the term sphincter muscle. When you read your NCERT book, you will find that the term sphincter comes on over there. So, sphincter muscle is actually a muscle which acts as a valve and it regulates the movement of food from one organ to the other. So, sphincter muscle is actually the valve which regulates the movement of food from one organ to the other. Quickly moving on to the term digestion. As you all know, it is the process of breakdown of complex food particles into simpler molecules by the action of digestive juices and enzymes. जो food हम consume करते हैं वो complex carbohydrate, fats या proteins के form में होता है, okay? And अगर यही कॉम्प्लेक्स फॉर्म हम कंज्यूम करेंगे तो हमारी बॉडी इस कॉम्प्लेक्स फॉर्म को एब्जॉर्ब नहीं कर पाएगी. इसीलिए इस कॉम्प्लेक्स फॉर्म को सिंपलर फॉर्म में ब्रेक डाउन करने के लिए वी नीड सम डाइजेस्टिव जूसेस एंड एंजाइम्स. नाउ द डाइजेशन प्रोसेस बिगिन्स इन द माउथ इटसेल्फ, ओके, by the action of the enzyme salivary amylase secreted by the salivary glands. अक्सर आपने सुना होगा people are confused, they know that digestion doesn't begin in the mouth or it begins in the stomach. No, the very first digestion process begins in the mouth itself when you consume a food particle, right? And in the mouth only the digestion of the carbohydrate or the starch occurs. For example, if you consume rice और चपाती लाइक दैट, तो जो कार्बोहाइड्रेट मटेरियल है, जो कार्बोहाइड्रेट प्रोडक्ट है फूड का, कंपोनेंट है फूड का, उसका डाइजेशन माउथ में ही स्टार्ट हो जाता है बाय द एक्शन ऑफ द एंजाइम कॉल्ड एज सलाइवरी अमाइलेज एंड दिस सलाइवरी अमाइलेज इज सिक्रीटेड बाय द सलाइवरी ग्लैंड्स. And almost 30% starch digestion begins in the mouth itself. So let us discover the process in detail. First of all, we will come to each and every part of the alimentary canal. The alimentary canal, as you all know, it is the complete pathway the food travels from the mouth to the anus. So the very first organ, alimentary canal में सबसे पहले क्या आएगा? Buccal cavity, also called as the mouth or the oral cavity. Now the buccal cavity consists of three things. What are these? Teeth, tongue and the salivary glands. As you all know, the teeth helps to chew the food, the tongue helps to roll the food, and salivary glands, these are three pairs, okay? The salivary glands are total 3 pairs in number. Salivary glands secrete saliva and this saliva moistens the food and mixes the food thoroughly. Together, the teeth, tongue and the salivary glands releasing the saliva help in the mastication of food or the proper mixing of the food, and they convert the food particle into a very softened form or the moistened form that is called as the bolus. तो food जो है जब teeth से chew हो जाता है, tongue उसको roll कर लेता है and the saliva mixes the food thoroughly, makes it soft, then now the food is termed as bolus. Okay, so moving on here, you can see on the screen, yes, we have the very first thing, that is a buccal cavity, then lies here the tongue, the teeth and the saliva. Okay, and we have, after the food enters the mouth, okay, the saliva mixes the food thoroughly as it is chewed by the teeth inside the mouth. हमारे जो teeth हैं, incisors, canines, molars, premolars, they will chew the food properly, the tongue will roll the food and the saliva will mix the food very thoroughly, right? And this saliva contains an enzyme called as salivary amylase. Saliva के अंदर कुछ ions भी होते हैं, bicarbonate ions होते हैं. It also contains lysozyme, which is an antibacterial agent, right? And the saliva contains a very, very important enzyme that is meant for the digestion of starch or the carbohydrate, and this enzyme is called as salivary amylase, which works at a definite pH of 6.8. आपको पता होना चाहिए कि ये जो digestive enzymes होती हैं, ये सारी की सारी किसी न किसी पर्टिकुलर टेम्परेचर या फिर एक पर्टिकुलर pH पे काम करती हैं, तभी वो इफेक्टिवली काम कर पाती हैं. तो when you consume the carbohydrate food material it undergoes digestion. उसका जो digestion process है वो mouth में ही शुरू हो जाता है, okay, by the action of the enzyme salivary amylase, right? And this salivary amylase is also called as tyalin. Okay, this salivary amylase is released by the saliva. It acts as a pH 6.8 and it will convert the complex starch into a disaccharide that is called as maltose. Maltose क्या है? It is the carbohydrate which consists of 2 sugar molecules. You know that carbohydrate family में 3 चीज़ें, there are 3 types, right? Monosaccharides, सबसे simplest form जो होता है carbohydrate का वो कहलाते हैं monosaccharides, for example glucose. Then we have disaccharides. Disaccharides are the carbohydrate groups which consist of 2 sugar molecules, for example maltose हो गया, okay? And then we have the polysaccharide which consists of what? Which consists of 3 carbohydrate, yes, 3 sugar molecules, right? Therefore starch is considered as a polysaccharide and it is a complex food particle. Therefore in the mouth, by the action of salivary amylase, first of all the digestion of starch will occur at the pH 6.8 and the starch will be converted into a disaccharide that is called as maltose. I hope till here it's clear to you. Now quickly let us see what will happen next. Okay, so I have prepared just a short flow chart so that you can keep the sequence of events in mind, right? That how does digestion occur in the mouth? First of all, food is ingested through the mouth. It is taken inside through the mouth. There inside the buccal cavity, the teeth, tongue and the saliva together help in mastication of food or making the food soft and moist, and the food is now termed as bolus. What is that particular term? That is the bolus, okay? And now the starch in the food that is acted upon by the salivary amylase enzyme at the pH 6.8, and that particular enzyme salivary amylase, इस एंजाइम में आप देख रहे हैं कि अमाइलेज वर्ड छुपा है. आपने पहले शायद पढ़ा होगा ल्यूकोप्लास्ट्स, जो उनके डिफरेंट टाइप्स होते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल इलायोप्लास्ट और द अमाइलोप्लास्ट, एल्यूरोप्लास्ट. तो वहाँ पे भी हमने पढ़ा था कि अमाइलोप्लास्ट जो है वो कौन सा ल्यूकोप्लास्ट होता है? द प्लास्टिड्स विच कंटेन्स और स्टोर्स स्टार्च. अमाइलेज वर्ड बेसिकली जहाँ पर भी अमाइलो वर्ड आएगा वो स्टार्च या कार्बोहाइड्रेट को करस्पॉन्ड करता है. इसीलिए सलाइवरी अमाइलेज एंजाइम भी किस पे एक्ट करेगी? कार्बोहाइड्रेट पे या स्टार्च पे एक्ट करती है. एंड देयरफॉर इट कन्वर्ट्स द स्टार्च इनटू द माल्टोज. एक चीज़ और आपको याद रखनी है, यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड दैट एंजाइम्स के नाम के आगे लाइक सफिक्स में हमेशा एज वर्ड लगा होता है, लाइक लाइपेज, अमाइलेज, ओके, न्यूक्लियस. तो एज वर्ड जो है वो क्या डिपेक्ट करता है कि हम जो है एंजाइम्स का नाम ले रहे हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल सलाइवरी अमाइलेज दिस